Welcome back, 8th grade. So, moving on, multi-step inequalities. I know when we did chapter 2, we eased into these multi-steps. Chapter 3, there's no more easing in. We are head first. So things to remember from 3.3, we talked about that if you multiply or divide by a negative, you need to flip your sign or symbol, right? That greater than or less than. We need to make sure that we flip it to the opposite direction. So let's get solving. Example 1. What are the solutions of 9 plus 4t greater than 21? So my goal is to isolate the variable. I want to isolate that variable. So I'm going to zero out this 9. Not because this middle is plus, but because the 9 itself is a positive 9. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. Because this becomes 0. Now I have 4t is greater than, and then 21 minus 9 is 12. And then from here, I need to get t by itself. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. And so now I have t is greater than, and then 12 divided by 4 is 3. And then it says check the solutions. So we're working with anything that is greater than 3. So if I were to plug in, say, 5, so we have 9 plus 4 times 5 greater than 21. That is the question. So is 9 plus 4 times 5 is 20 because we multiply before we add. Greater than 21. Well, it's 29, which is indeed greater than 21. Now, the other thing that we could check is, well, maybe I choose to plug in 2. It's just less than 3. So is 9 plus 4 times 2 greater than 21? So now we have 9 plus 8, and 9 plus 8 is 17. So 17 is not greater than 21, and so that it is indeed that we need to be greater than 3. So that's how we solve it. T is greater than 3. If it asks you to graph, then remember you would put, in this case, 0, 1, 2, 3. It's not a pretty graph. 4, we put an open circle at the 3, and we draw to the right because those are the numbers greater than 3. As simple as that. Okay, so now we have a word problem. We go to the question first. First and foremost, what is it we don't know? So we want to know what the possible lengths we can have for our garden. So we don't know lengths, because remember we talked about that this is the writing down what you know and don't know. Like when I was in school, the first time a teacher told me, well, write down what you know and you don't know, that was when it clicked for word problems. Before that, I was just like, I'm staring off at a problem and I don't know what's going on. So I highly suggest write what you know and what you don't know, and then go from there. So we don't know length. So now I go back. We're building a community garden. We want to fence in this vegetable garden. It's adjacent to my friend's garden. So here's friend's garden. You have at most 42 feet. So I have to be less than or equal to 42 feet of fence. That's my perimeter. All right? Because we're fencing. We're not fencing in an area. We're fencing in the area, but our fence does not measure our area. It would be our perimeter. And it wants to know what our possible lengths are. Now, my friend's garden tells me my width. Because it doesn't matter. We're adjacent, walking pathwise on either side. Our width is going to be 12 feet no matter what. All right, so then what's the other thing we need to know? Perimeter of a rectangle. That's what we need. So I know that I add up all 4 sides, but because it's a rectangle, I'm going to have 2 of my length and 2 of my width. So instead of length plus width, we like to write it as 2 length plus 2 width. I know some of this, I don't know others, and so I'm going to plug in what I know. I know I have 2 times my length plus 2 times the width I have right now is 12 feet, and then I have to be less than or equal to 42 feet because I only have 42 feet of fencing. So then I simplify what I know. So 2 times 12 is 24. And so again, still have to be less than 42. And then it's a 2-step equation from here. So I'm going to subtract 24 to zero it out so that I can isolate that length. So now I have 2 lengths has to be less than or equal to, and then 42 minus 24 is 18. Divide that by 2, and my length has to be less than or equal to 9 feet. So that's how long I can make this garden. All right, so that's basically those 2-step equations. In the next one, we're going to really hit those multi-step, more than just 2 steps, right? Because we went from 1 steps, 2 examples on 2 steps right here, and now we're going to hit hard into that multi-step equation. So I'll see you there, 8th grade.